All right, it is 4:36, and I call this meeting of the Meridian Historic Preservation Commission to order. Roll call. Blaine Johnston's here. Don Cronk.
Here.
Josh Everts via phone call.
Here. Here.
J.C. Neri.
Here.
Councilman Palmer. Walking around. Adoption of the agenda.
Mr. President, I move we adopt the agenda as presented if there aren't any changes.
Second.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Neri, second by Commissioner Cronk for adoption of the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Approval of minutes.
Mr. President, if there weren't any additions, there might be.
Sorry. I think I accidentally forgot to take, oh no, I did have Ed off. I'll just fix on these minutes that Ed is not a current member, so you should be good. Sorry.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Neri, second by Commissioner Cronk for approval of the minutes for February 28th. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of monthly financial statements.
Oh yeah, this is wrong. Let me just click OpenGov. It's reflecting the app and the contribution from the MDBA. Actually, I think that is correct. So that should be accurate.
Okay.
Awesome.
All those in favor of approval of our monthly financial statement? Oh, do we have a motion?
Motion that we approve monthly financial statement.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Neri, second by Commissioner Cronk for approval of the monthly financial statement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Josh?
Did we lose you, Josh?
Josh? Man down.
Hillary's getting her steps in.
I click redial and it doesn't do anything.
Where's IT when you need them?
Now I'm going to memorize his phone number. Hello.
Yes, back.
Okay.
So we just voted for, or voting for the approval of the monthly financial statements. We've got all ayes except for you. Did we lose you again, Josh?
No, I'm on here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I approve.
Okay, motion carries. Historical Society and History Center update. Continued. New business. Partnership with Meridian Arts Commission for Meridian Art Week.
One. So the Meridian Arts Commission is, or the Events and Outreach Committee is trying to put together something like a scavenger hunt or a bingo type card that would include both public art sites, hopefully maybe some Art Week sites or events, and then also historic properties in the downtown area. So they were interested in working with you guys on this to make sure that you could have a voice in the development of whatever product they come up with, and then the brainstorming for that as well. So I wanted to ask you if there's an HPC member that could serve as a liaison for this project with MAC, if you're interested in partnering with them on it. If you just want them to select whatever, I can tell them that you grant them that authority as well.
Okay.
I'll play.
Okay.
A mic that's lit up.
Okay, great.
National Alliance for Preservation Commission, camp meeting.
Yes, so this meeting is scheduled for Saturday, May 4th, 2019. I tried to get confirmation from Pete Larange for how to register for that and how much it would cost us, and he hasn't gotten back to me yet. But I would assume that it is going to take place in Boise. That's what his previous email had said, was just Boise, so I would think it'd be actually in that city. I cannot attend a meeting that day. I will be in Canada, so I won't be able to make it. But I think that there are some topics worth the commission knowing about or getting more knowledge on or getting brushed up on. So I wanted to see who from HPC will be attending, who can attend even.
I'll be in Hawaii, sorry.
Nice.
I think I should be able to do that.
I have a ballet recital.
Hillary, can you repeat what that day is again?
Saturday, May 4th.
Okay, I'm in town that day.
Okay, Blaine and Josh, and maybe Jody?
Blaine,
Jody
I'm happy to go with you.
Sounds good, Josh.
Okay, I will follow up with you guys when I have more information, and
Okay.
then when it comes to getting approval of expenses, I'll make sure to bring that back to HPC.
Sounds great. Old business. Historic Barnes of Meridian calendar.
You good? Yeah. Okay. Mr. President, Commissioners, I did a little bit of research. We have about enough to put together a calendar. What I really need to know is what our budget is for this. I looked at Walgreens and Walmart and Snapfish. Are all ones that can do calendar orders like in bulk for us. The price goes down a little bit depending on how many you order. The reason that I was looking at those organizations is because, one, they're less expensive than going with something local, and the quality is nice. They're bound, and they've got like a little, a cover on them, something that we could do. It just depends on, is our goal to use it as a fundraiser where we'll be asking for donations? Are we going to sell it at a specific price, or would we be giving it away? So depending on the type that we do, we could go anywhere from about $12 a calendar, it's like $12 and change, up to $30 a calendar, depending on, again, whether we do the weight of the paper, how large of the calendar, if you do a desk style versus a wall style. So I can have some proofs available. I just wanted to know what available budget is before I get too far down that rabbit hole, and what the intent was. I know that we talked about maybe launching it during Preservation Month and then really trying to market it really heavily at the end of this year, so it would be a 2020 calendar, which means theoretically there's money available from next fiscal year to do it as well. But if we're giving them away for free versus donating or selling, it's just what's the intent?
Missionary. How would that work if we sold it and if we made a profit on it? Does that just go back into the city fund?
Mr. Chairman, or Mr. President, members of the commission, yeah, so everything goes back to the city's account. I'll have to talk to finance on how they want to account for it, because there's also sales tax that's charged too. So I can check into that for you.
The one thing that I had got from finance so far was that we would have to make sure that we can get it approved on the fee schedule before we could sell it, if
Yeah.
HPC is the one selling it.
I wondered about that. We actually, some of the ones that we have, using the software on those programs, they do some cool, like collages and things. Like we could use. I didn't even need to reach out to Dwight, because we have enough to make a calendar in, like, without doing one single image. You know what I mean? Like maybe we do single images intermixed with collage images or facts of Meridian, and then I used just some stock photos that we had from I want to say it was the last time that we had a consultant take property photos that are available on that Dropbox. So we have enough. It's just, what do we want to charge for these things? And if if it's costing us, even on the low range, $12, do we just charge the flat and it's just a kind of a giveaway? Or are we looking at it as a revenue stream, or really are we just going to give it away as part of a gift to the community? What's the goal?
My thought is just to give them away.
Okay. I'm totally good with that. It's just available budget. Did we lose our friend Josh? Yeah?
Again. Yeah, if we had something specific that we wanted to do with an amount of money by selling them, I could see that, but just, I don't know, just to sell them.
Yeah.
Mr. President, I mean,
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
you probably need to figure out if there's anything here that you have to make a decision on, because if without a quorum, you can't make any other decisions. So I don't know if you want informational items only from this point, since I think we're having a hard time keeping Commissioner Everett's on the line. But to maybe answer one of the questions, it certainly is a lot easier on the calendars if you are just going to give them away. I guess what I would suggest, though, for the city council's perspective is, what's the purpose of spending the money to give them away? Obviously, there's an educational component. Would that be tied in with a particular activity or event or some other promotional? Because part of this commission's charge is to educate the public about the history of the city or history of Meridian. So I think as long as you can tie it to that, and then maybe tie it to an activity or an event, a connection with the city or Historic Preservation Month or whatever it is.
If we did, just for future thought, as a discussion item only, completely informational, if we did $500, we could buy a little more than like 30 calendars and see what that goes, how that works, and we can always order more. I mean, the benefit of using any of those companies is that once you've created one, it's stored in their cloud forever, and we can always reprint. So if we find that we set them out at the end of the year, maybe at the counter, at an event, and people take them and they like them and it's getting positive response, we were looking at about 12 days from the time that I submit the order to when we would receive them. So the turnaround time on getting them isn't long. And that's what they do, is they're mass producing these types of things. So we have time. You know, if we ran out and thought, man, we really should get some more of these, it's not hard to approve another expenditure. Not that we can do that today, but just for life.
But you want to order through the city, otherwise you have to pay the sales tax.
Truth. So they'd have to, yeah. All good points.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't have the conversation with finance, but this would not be a fee schedule thing. So you could still charge for them. You don't have to go through the fee schedule. I'm not totally sure why they said that. We sell other products of the city that we don't have on a fee schedule because it doesn't apply. Okay. So, but again, if you want to break even, you can certainly do that. But
and I think we could get around sales tax too. I didn't even check Costco. But the city uses Costco for things all
Correct.
the time, and we don't pay for taxes
Right.
on that. So maybe I need to look at Costco if we're thinking about, because that's a good point, on $500, sales tax is a larger chunk that we don't prefer to pay. Mm-hmm. So I'll look at Costco maybe and see if they're about the same.
Or discussion only. I wouldn't mind having, say, 30 available for Preservation Month. Set them out here.
Just see.
One per attendee or whatever. If we had 30 attendees, they get a calendar and see how what the response is.
Well, maybe we do that as an action item at our next meeting. We can do the budget expenditure, because I can have them, if we approve the budget expenditure at next meeting, they'll be here and ready before the end of May when our event is. So that's good. I'll use 30 as a target, and I'll get everything in place so that when we get the go-ahead to actually spend the money, I can order them. That's easy.
Okay.
Okay.
Blaine, can we continue to discuss items, or should everything be tabled?
Well,
We need decisions on most of these.
yeah, if anything that requires a decision, you can't do without a quorum. So you can continue to meet to have information if you want, but the problem is you don't have enough, you only have half your commission here, so you'll probably have to rehear it to make a decision on it. So unless there's something that's really information only that may not come back again, it may not be real worthwhile to spend the time. You may want to consider whether to have a special meeting instead of waiting for a month. Just because you'll have more of your folks back and available. Since there are some decision points that you need, it's going to be a fairly tight turnaround if we wait till the next meeting in April 25th to then order calendars. It's just going to be a little tight. I recognize everybody's busy, but I don't know if you have another time you can meet between now and then, because you've got April 11th is a Thursday. It's in between the two Planning and Zoning Commission meetings.
Arts Commission meets on April 11th, but
Oh,
they
you're
meet
right.
at 3:30.
That's right. Well, and again, if you want a special meeting, you can have it any day, except it's not when the council isn't meeting or another commission isn't meeting, but.
If we want to just go through the agenda real fast and say we'll need to continue this, if there are a couple of them that we don't need action. So item 7D, I don't need action. I just wanted to update you guys. Item G, I don't know why I used a bullet. The past projects follow-up, I could just share with you the follow-up. And then reports aren't listed as actions, so cover those if you'd like.
Let's just cover those.
Okay, so for item 7D, you want me to cover as well, or just the reports?
Let's just do reports.
Okay. So, National Register nominations, actually, let's skip that one, and Conservation Overlay Districts. Oh, I'm sorry, we do need National Register nominations. So I followed up with Finance in base budget discussions for FY20, and the consensus back was not to raise your guys' budget for next year, but for you guys to demonstrate that you could get a National Register complete current budget, and then the following year you could come back and ask for 11,000 or 22,000, whatever, to continue with more nominations. One thing that Finance used this year as a tool was looking at their 5-year trend analysis, and there was a year, it was 2 or 3 years ago, that you guys only spent like $600. So that was a little bit of a detriment to looking at the overall trend of how much you guys are spending. I don't know why this keeps cutting out. So with that in mind, though, I kind of reorganized your budget line items to reflect what those expenses would look like. So let me switch screens really quick. So hopefully you guys can see this okay. I essentially put $9,500 up in consulting / National Register nominations to hopefully allow for TAG to get some time in there. If push comes to shove, if it looks like it's going to be much more expensive than that, if it's going to lean towards an $8,000 expense from TAG's side, we could always push it towards splitting of fiscal year. So if some of their work is completed in next fiscal year and some other works completed in the following. Or you may have other items that you would prefer to move. So the budget for training is one that I cut money from or reduced money from to move up to the National Register. And that would essentially only allow you guys to do NAPC's forum if they end up doing that here in Boise, the camp forum, or the Idaho Heritage Conference, which will be in, I think it was September 2020. So that still allows a budget for you guys for that. Budget for supplies, I reduced by half because you guys hadn't historically spent the entire amount, so that seemed like a good place to pull from. I increased your membership budget. It was only at like 300 something, and I increased it because I increased it to what you guys currently have with your national membership for the National Trust, the National Alliance of Historic Preservation Commissions, and the Idaho Association of Museums. Printing and promotional, I reduced by 500, again, to give more to the National Register. My thought is that you'll also need a sign at whatever site that you put it towards, kind of lens from something promotional or printing type. Reduced continuing education program. So last year, we actually paid 2 instructors $250 each. We only paid 1 instructor, even if we increased it to $450, and then had like $250 for lunch. It's still more than what we did last year by just eliminating 1 instructor. I removed the historic district branding signage, kind of just renaming it and reallocating funds for the National Register. Left historic walking tour app the same because that's mandatory. We owe them that every year. And then student initiative, I reduced to 300, but that could even be as low as 150. If you're talking about a first, second, and third place prize, that's like $25, $50, and $75 potentially. And then I added a category since it wasn't currently captured for photography services for those sites from transmittals or projects, or potentially for whole film projects, specific sites. So that's one that looks pretty low right now, especially if you wanted to do the whole film type of stuff and just keep showing progress on that. But that's kind of what I came up with for now. I will just, since this is just discussion, I'll just talk to Blaine about this tomorrow, and then talk to finance and see if they're okay, or if we could always probably change these up again. But they wanted to put something in their base so that they know what we're looking at budgeting.
Okay.
So I'll follow up with Blaine if you have.
Sorry, one question. This is our current year's budget, yes? Or this is next fiscal year? Where did I go?
So the budget amount is the same.
Okay.
So this is a proposal for next fiscal year.
All right. I'm thinking about the calendar situation, which would theoretically fall under that printing promotional. But we've historically assigned, I think based on previous interactions with Trademark, not that they have to be who does our signs, but Trademark generally does our signs so that they match all of the rest of them. Under this currently, we don't have the budget to do it next fiscal year. So I think that is, for next meeting, something we should talk about. But also great work, because not easy to do that.
So,
Way to slim the fat.
Mr. President, unless things have changed, so maybe I'm speaking out of turn. These are objectives in your budget, but if you spend more in one and not in the other, it's the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess if the numbers are the same, just because it says 1,000 and you need 1,200, as long as you get it from some other line here, it's the same.
No, yes, absolutely. I think you're right. I'm just looking at some of the ones in here that we would, if we're going to talk about where we're going to cut back, we're not going to cut back on photography services next year. We'll spend that 400. I'm going by each individual amount based on projects that we've talked about for next fiscal year. And if we continue the programming that we have right now, we'll hit these amounts. So I think it's just being cognizant of what additional programs that we add and whether or not we can maintain them while we're skipping money around.
For a year.
Yeah, it's just it's worth a thought, and I think that maybe the discussion then becomes which initiative we cut, whether it be something that is a fundraising promotional type item, or whether it's, maybe a program that's not doing so well right now. So it's just it's a good discussion item for next time.
Okay.
And Mr. President, members of the commission, another thing to consider, and that may be a different discussion with the rest of the commissioners here, but there may be opportunities for fundraising as well. Because a lot of the commissions raise all of their funds through fundraising and don't have any funds from the city directly. So if there's some of that, I think you've got some commissioners that would be willing to be part of that discussion on raising funds in the community as well.
Thanks, Hillary. You're awesome.
And like Bill said, all finance ultimately cares about is your guys' one GL number, that 14,400. They just wanted to know kind of what you guys are thinking that's going to be spent on.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that in April. But feel free, I will actually send this out to you guys so you can look at it and see what you think might work to bring to the group in April. As far as item 8A2, can I move on to that?
What's that?
Can I move on to prioritize current
Yes.
potential properties? So another thing, this kind of works out okay as just a discussion, high-level item. You guys had talked about 4 different properties, but since we're not asking for, or since we're not getting an increase in your budget to accommodate multiple National Register nominations, I wanted each of you to consider which one, for you personally, would be your primary or priority 1 property, and then we can talk about that and see if you're all in agreement in April as well.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
Well, I think we can skip neighborhood conservation overlay districts.
Right. Preservation Idaho nomination.
So I have the check request submitted to finance, and I have 2 more things to turn into them tomorrow for your nomination.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Do you mind if I just work through it, actually? Because I'll
Yeah,
just
go
blast
ahead.
through it. Okay. 8D, property photo use. I just want to let you guys know, because of that nomination, it has really spurred me into adding that additional map for your property photos that you've been getting through Whitetail Photography and through Hill Photography, to add that map layer to the app. So I think I have 7 of them added so far, and I will have hopefully all of them complete by Monday, so that when the Preservation Idaho opens up your nomination form, they see everything that we have.
Okay.
Comprehensive Plan Update Report. So your guys' biggest category for the Comprehensive Plan Update is going to be contained in Chapter 5, which is called Community Character and Identity. So when I have a draft of that chapter, I'll send it out to you guys, but the turnaround time for the review and comments is pretty short. So I'll try to tell you in the email when comments are expected back, but I'll try to give it to you as soon as I have it. They usually give it out to staff first, and then the steering committee a couple days after, in case there's anything really high level that staff could just clear up. And then the community steering committee talks about it a little more, and they present another draft. But this will be the first draft of that chapter that includes your guys' stuff. So I'll get that to you guys so you can all put your peepers on it and let me know if you have any feedback. As far as I know, they haven't removed any policies that would be specific to you guys. They might have refined a couple of little words here and there. There's a lot of et ceteras that they took out of a lot of different policies. So keep an eye out for that. You'll be seeing that from me. It should be within the next couple weeks, I would think.
If we have comments, just return them to you.
They were sending them as a Word document, so you could track changes and
Okay.
then send that back to me, and I'll get it over to Brian McClure in planning. Yeah.
Okay.
Jones Museum of Idaho, can we do that update? It's just a report.
Yeah. Mr. President, Commissioners, this will be pretty quick. We, March 16th, opened up all of the outdoor exhibits, which includes the cabin that HPC donated to or sponsored. So that is open. All of the historic Meridian photos are on display inside the cabin, as well as some replicas of toys from early 1900s that the kids can actually play with. And then we have some actual antiques, obviously, that are in shadow boxes that they can look at. The Dino Dig is open. The other agricultural exhibits are open. The Farm to Fork exhibit. The chicks come next week. We are going to be raising actual chicks inside the museum, so that's pretty cool. So if you haven't gotten out there to see it, you should. When you go in as a sponsor, you have the ability to just walk through. You obviously have to check in at the desk and let them know that you're there and who you are. There's a policy about adults not walking around without children for safety reasons. So, but take time to go out there and see what the money that we contributed to did. And that's, I mean, programming continues. The numbers are still crazy. I think we have, Google reviews are fantastic. The biggest complaint with our reviews is that the museum is really busy. So I guess it's a good problem to have. We're continuing to add staff and work on programming to help kind of filter what that is. You know, during high volume levels, we're having classes, so it takes kids off of the floor, you know, and focusing it around what we're finding is like 10 to noon is really busy. It's after nap time and before lunch for the little kiddos. And so we're working on programming during those times so that those kids are engaged in an interactive activity with staff and get them actually off the exhibits to free up space for other walk-in guests and things like that. But it's going very well. So I would encourage you to stop by, and we are always looking for volunteers, always, always. So if you are interested or have a desire to take on a new project, let me know and I can get you connected.
Thank you.
Ada County Historic Preservation Council report. Blaine, would you like to do that? Or I think I connected, or I linked their agenda here. So if people wanted to look at the agenda, they could do that independently.
I went to their meeting 1st of March to see what was going on. They were glad that I was there, and they're trying to reach out to other preservation groups in Ada County. Biggest thing that I took away from that is that they are also trying to survey farm areas that are in jeopardy of being developed. I told them we're trying to do the same thing, so I just asked that they coordinate with us so that we're not duplicating services. Mm-hmm. So if they get something, they're supposed to pass it on to us, and if we do something, then we'll do the same thing. And hopefully we can link our GIS of the city with the counties to mark those properties. So
Very good.
that's all I got.
Good partnership.
Yeah, I think what I might try to do, I've been saving their agendas and minutes on my file, but I might try to add those to that Dropbox too, in case that's a resource to you guys. And then that way you're not getting constant emails from me, but you could check it if you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll see if I can add that to the Dropbox file. Are you interested in scheduling a special meeting?
Hard to do that without, yes is the answer. Hard to do that without the quorum. Or knowing what other people's schedules are, even really to discuss it. I think it's necessary. I'm concerned about, I'm not, theoretically, we have the May event already planned, but in the instance there's something that happened or to solidify, that's a tight timeline from, but maybe we're awesome and we can knock it all out in one meeting if we all just plan to hunker down and be here for a bit. But can we do a doodle poll and see if people are available?
Could you guys, so generally, I can't remember your schedules, So could you guys give me a consensus of what would kind of work for you, and then I can base doodle poll numbers around that? Like, are evenings better, or is like 4:30 a good time, or is 3:30 better, or is 5 o'clock okay? What are your, do you have constraints to consider before I do a doodle poll?
I can do 4:30 every day. Wednesday, I have a commitment, but not until 6:30. Thursdays, I have commitments, but not until 6:30. And I could do a day meeting if daytime is better.
Mine's pretty flexible too, except for the third Wednesday evening of every month. That's the library's board meetings.
I just can't do the 9th or the 16th. But other than that, I can probably do most any day. And time doesn't matter.
I will get some doodle polls sent out, and we'll try to make it work. It could potentially work on the 11th. I might just make it 5 or. Lacey, do you have another meeting? 6?
I have a 6:30,
On the Thursday.
Thursday the 11th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I will get a doodle poll sent out to the group.
Thank you. Can't end the meeting.
Can't
I'll
end the
just
meeting.
sort of walk away now.
We just fade into.
We just go into
just
the.
fade.
We just go into the sunset.
We'll adjourn it at the next meeting.
That's awesome.